Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk about something that is often overlooked, often underestimated, and one of the best things that a prepper can have in his stock. But before I'm going to talk about this little teaser, if you're interested in detective stories, this is the first part of an 11-part series that I wrote called Bloody Crosses. It's in Dutch, if you're interested. The link will be down in the description. So, what I'm talking about, I made a lot of videos about candles, but I want to make a whole video topic about the humble tea light. Yeah, the humble tea light. I know many. It's not that exciting as guns or making fire for preppers, but it's something that you must not forget or underestimate, because a tea light is, in my opinion, the perfect one of the perfect things that a prepper can stockpile. So why would you stockpile this? It has many survival uses and many good, how do you say this, factors that will increase these. So the why a tea light candle? First of all, is cheap. You can buy a lot of them for less money, but you have to look for what kind of tea light candles, because these kind of tea light candles are non-scented, scented, or of course more expensive. These are in a, how do you say this, in an aluminum kind of package, and that's also more good for the safety when it starts to burn off. And the tip, the wick, is also waxed in the beginning. So another benefit of this is when it gets wet, whether it's been by a, how do you say this, when water gets all over a flood, whether you had a flood, whether you had some moist in your house, whether you had a little accident with the plumbing, when these get wet, they will still function, although it's not really good for the candle, but it will still works nonetheless. Another thing is, I like tea light candles because they are the perfect size. What do I mean by that? If I got a really big candle, yeah, you would say, oh, I would prefer a big candle because you got more. The problem with the big candle is, from the moment a big candle starts to burn, it will only start to burn in the middle. All around it will not get affected by the heat, will not melt, and you will get a whole lot of candle that is not being used. That's not the case with a tea light candle. A tea light candle burns and it will keep burning everything. It will use every piece of wax till it's nothing more or less. That's also a reason why I would not recommend to take tea light candles that are bigger than the 5 centimeters that I have in my hands right now, because the bigger it is, the more wax will not be used, the less efficient it will be. So that's another thing you need to watch for. To be honest, another thing you need to watch for if you use these, use them in proper services or uh, places where you put them, because when these start to get very low, things will get very hot. If you do it on an unprotected surface like a table of wood, it will start to burn the table when it gets almost on its near point. So that's something you really need to watch out for. Put it in something like a candle holder at least. So that's something you really need to watch out for. And yeah, I've been rambling about this. So what can we all do with this? First of all, the first thing you would come to mind is light. Yeah, candles are very uh, cozy, especially during a date night. But one of the things, I probably made a video about this already. The Yuko Lantra candle holder. It's one of the best candle holders in my opinion. And if you got several of these, you can light the house with for a whole night with just a few of these candles. Oh, one more point. They are These are generally in two kind of sizes of burning time. You got one of 8 hours and you got of 6 hours. I would say mix them up. Why? Because sometimes you do not really need that much uh, tea light candles, to be honest. Because if you're going to use one of 8 hours, I would say then you need to plan it to for 8 hours. Or during a bug out, you can take this. I'm going to talk this in within a minute. You need all the light that you can have. But if you are not sure that you will stay awake, like for safety reasons, if you're just dozing off watching television or reading a book and you start to doze a little bit off, then it could be dangerous to have one of these candles that burn all night, where potentially your cat or something else could burn it. So when it's burned out faster, it could be a little bit more safer in that regard. So that's something you need to watch out for. So I was talking about the Yuko lantern holder. With this holder, you can do a lot of things with the tea light candle. I prefer to put this in my bug out bag for several reasons. First of all, if you're going to take it out, I'm going to change this. You can take it out just by putting it beneath it. So there is no, you do not have to get on top of it, screw something loose and take it out and burn in your hand. You can just turn it beneath the flaming point, get it out and change it or whatever you want to do with it. Another benefit of it is it's very small, so it's light enough to put in your bug out bag. So that makes it more interesting to have one of those candle holders. I'm going to use this one because that's another thing that's kind of you need to watch out for from brand to brand, because these smaller ones are fitting better in the logo than the bigger ones. But yeah, depends on the brand, I guess. So another thing is you can just take it like this and hold it in front of you without burning hands. It's not like you have to hold it like this and let all the heat burn in your hand and you cannot hold it. You can just hold it like this and you can perfectly use it as a light during your bug out or in your bug in scenarios. Another thing I like about this is it has the potential to keep your drinks warm. So even not only during a bug out, but also during bug out when you when you made tea with the fire with your fire, but you cannot keep the fire going. You just need the light from the Luco, from a tea light like in the Luco. You still have some tea that you want to keep warm, but yeah, you cannot be bothered to make another fire. Just put it on the surface, because this is made out of metal, on the Luco, and it can help you keep it warm. To be honest, I've tried to boil it, but it takes too long to actually boil it with one candle. The thing is, if you got several tea lights, I would say guess around between 8 and 10, you put them beneath a plate, you could boil something in an emergency. Yeah, I would not recommend it, but if you do not have any gas, like if you live in an apartment, this could be very handy. If you do not have any gas, wood stove or some other means to cook something or to boil something, then if you have a ton of these candle tea lights, you can improvise a little oven, a little cook-off, baking in a pan or something, or a pot. So yeah, it's good for improvisation. What was I talking about? Oh, another benefit of a tea light is I always put a tea light in my bug as a form of tinder. Yes, as a form of tinder. I probably did not mention this in my video about tinders, but I always like to have candles because first of all it's multifunctional, like I said, for light, for heat. Yeah, heat comes next. And the thing is, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, tinder. If I'm going to build a fire and I have a limited amount of matches or lighter, I just can light this on once and it will keep burning. I can use my Kindle and use that to start a fire. So yeah, in a way you can start off a lot of fires with just one click of of a a big, how do you call this, a lighter and a match. So that's something I really like to do, and I have enjoyed this very much. Even so, to more to the point that I almost never had to use some fire steel to yeah, to make a fire, and yeah, I lost some of my fire skills because of that. But yeah, it's because this works so great. Although it's a little bit sensitive for the wind, but so is any other kind of tinder. Um, so next thing is yeah, you can light, cook with it. With lights you can improvise it. It cannot only be it cannot only be the Luco. There are several types of tea light candles. This looks like one of those old storm lamps, but as you perhaps can see, it's made for tea light candles. So because of this, you will not burn your hand, and it's very handy, and it can bring a little bit heat into the house. Next thing is also, this is an improvised light. Like this is a soda can. You just cut it open. You put a tea light candle inside of it, and it will reflect the light of it, and it will also create some heat. So that's an improvised way to use a tea light candle. And talking about heat, it can, if you got enough of these in a small room, you can heat the room with it. Like another example are the terracotta pot. You just take a terracotta pot like this, a plant pot, whatever. You put it on something high that is not flammable, like pieces of stone that's on three sides, and you can put one or two, perhaps three, maybe even four tea light candles beneath the terracotta pot. The heat will get gathered and it will radiate heat, and it's like an improvised stove heating element inside of your house. And because it's just made out of these, the flames are just made out of these unscented tea light candles, there is less chance for um, monoxide poisoning. So that's something that could be helpful. Although I must warn you, if you burn enough of the candles, it could create some monoxide inside of the room. So be careful, still be careful. And another thing is, the reason why I say all of these candle holders is because if you just, like I said, if you just put it outside, just on a table and light it on, it will be vulnerable to burn things. Like a cat could crawl on it, be a little bit curious, smack it off, burn something. You could put something down or walk by with something that is flammable, like nylon clothing or whatever, and it will start burn. If it's too close to a drape and the drape gets a little bit drafty and flies against the light, could be dangerous. So always use your head, fire safety, and yeah, use always a candle holder. Like I said also before, if it's just on a surface that is flammable, it can scorch it, it can even burn it when it gets down and it gets really hot, these things. So yeah, so we got light, we got heat, we got also cooking in improvised ways. So those are all benefits of the tea light candles. And like I said before, it's very cheap. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a lot of tea light candles. I think at the moment I'm at around 3,000 tea light candles. And the thing is, you do not have to buy a lot in one sitting. Just if you go to the shop like a supermarket or a Home Depot or whatever, they sell these in bulk. They can sell this in a 1 plus or 2 plus 1 for free kind of a promotions. If you just go to the store and buy a small pack or something, every 2 or 3 times you go to the store, you can gather a lot of tea light candles, and it will not be a financial burden. But, and these things, this is best of all, this won't go bad. You can store this indefinitely, so it's also a good bartering item. Yeah, but you have to warn. But I have to warn you. You have to gather this. You have to keep this in a cool, dark, dry space. Because if you put them in a place where there is a lot of sunshine, or it can get very warm in the summer, these things will start to melt. And yeah, melted candles, especially these ones, can be a little bit annoying, especially when they are in a bag and not just if they are standing up nicely on stacked on top of each other and they melt. That could not be that big of a problem. But if you got a bag that they're going all sides, and that bag gets warm and it starts a little bit to melt, it will get deformed all the candles. So you have to watch out for those. And after use, you can even reuse these little aluminum pots to, yeah, if you got leftovers of candle wax and you got some wicks, you can just recreate some new um, tea light candles. So yeah, that is the reason why I always like these things. This is one of the best prepper and most underestimated survival tools in my opinion. But yeah, that's just the reason why I made this video. I want, if anybody else knows some other use for a tea light candle, like can you disinfect a piece of medical tool with a tea light candle, or what, or are the downsides to it? Such ideas give it to me. I'm always eager to learn. Please do it in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Cheers.